Megaman, powered up!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Megaman Powered Up. In the last part we finished off the last of the 8 Robot Masters, got access to the Wily Castle, but now it's about time we look at some of the extra stuff before heading to the endgame. First off, let's check out construction mode, which is what we use to make stages. First off, you need to choose to make a stage, but then you choose a basic graphics pack and an enemy pack. In this case, I'm just kind of choosing willy-nilly. And then we get to where you set up the modes. Each of these little blocks more or less shows a single screen. When you place something in it, it becomes active. You can choose between general ground elements, background elements, and of course enemies and power-ups. I'm using the Fireman one just because that's my favorite kit. Depending on how you lay out the ingredients, it can make certain different graphical effects like that. You can also stack things like so. This goes pretty in-depth. You can also set certain goals, like you can start with 1 HP, you can beat the boss at the end, reach the end, so on and so forth. More or less anything that the challenge mode does, you can, I think, do here, including time limits. For instance, I just set 2 Sniper Joes there. I believe there is an enemy limit per screen, so you need to keep that in mind. So let's play test it. And in doing so, I'm actually going to show off something else, Megaman C. This was recorded after I beat the game already. Megaman C is what you get for beating the game on normal mode. Essentially, Mega Man C is Mega Man 4 onwards Mega Man. You have the charge shot and the slide. The only character I'm not showing off in the game is Mega Man S, because I don't unlock it, which is for being the game on easy mode. That's basically Mega Man 3 Mega Man. You have the standard Mega Buster, as well as just the slide.
How was it?
Playtesting is just to make sure it works. However, rule setting is where you go into, say, like the character you want to play as, the life energy you start with, so on and so forth. The 1 HP challenges, I recall, were surprisingly common. And by pressing the start button, that's how we choose the name and go onwards. For instance, you got Hiragana, Katakana, alphabets, special characters. You get a lot of options in terms of names. And after that, you save it onto your memory stick. However, I'm not going to do that because, well, I can't go online. Play is where you can test out your stages, and I think there's even some stages the game comes with. Connect is the game's online mode where you would upload and share your stages. However, you can also get DLC from there. Namely, other graphics packs and such, as well as 2 particular things I'll be talking about later. This is challenge mode. You have 100 challenges, 10 boss rushes, 10 Mega Man, and then 10 for every other Robot Master. This is where I'm going to be showing off not only every Robot Master's playstyle, but as well just what the general challenges can go through. I went through most of them off-screen. The boss rush ones, by the way, in particular, take forever. But this is just so I can give you a basic taste of it all. There's a lot I want to leave up to you guys to explore, which is most of the challenges, as well as, say, the dialogue between Robot Masters when you go play as them in the story mode. But I just want to give a brief taste here. The thing to note, by the way, particularly with a lot of these, your weapons might be locked. You're going to have a lot of 1 HP challenges. Oilman in particular is actually a lot of timed missions. You have to reach the goal within a certain amount of time. The boss rush challenges in particular are probably the most interesting and also the hardest, because there are a few of them that are set in old style mode, which is classic Mega Man 1, and others in new style. And the thing is about choosing the ones in new style, you can go through those with any character you want. Mega Man C is recommended, though, for damage reasons. Either way, let's go over Cutman. Cutman's weapon is the rolling cutter, which, as with the main game, can go through walls, comes back to you after a while, so on and so forth. However, every Robot Master has something second to make them special. For instance, Cutman has a wall jump straight out of Metroid. The way you activate it is by holding towards the wall and pressing the jump button. In case you need to chain them, you need to switch which direction you're facing. Doing that is very important, and this is actually how you get a good amount of construction. In fact, I can say for a fact, if you want to practice with the characters, challenge mode is a very good way to practice with every given Robot Master, because they test you basically to every single limit the character can do. The hardest challenge modes probably go to between Gutsman, Bomb Man, and Fireman could get kind of hard. Gutsman can generate guts blocks anywhere he wishes. You can also stack them and create little pseudo ladders with them. You can also choose which one you want to pick up in the case you're next to multiple by holding towards its direction. The moment it lights up, you know you're holding the right one. That is probably the best way they could have done Gutsman, because if he could only attack using the guts blocks within a given stage, he would be no fun to play as. Iceman's gimmick is his Ice Slasher, which first off makes him the only character that you can't shoot and move at the same time with. due to the fact of how he works during the fight. However, the Ice Slasher has the added benefits of freezing the enemy in place, as it does with Megaman. However, unlike with Megaman, you can use enemies he freezes as platforms, including even the large enemies like Big Eyes. Next up is Bomb Man. Bomb Man's big thing is obviously being able to use the Hyper Bomb at all times. However, unlike Mega Man, he can throw his bombs in multiple directions. And not just talking left and right. Depending on what direction you hold on the D-pad, he'll throw his bombs differently. If you press down, he'll throw it right in front of him, basically placing it down like Bomb Kirby. Press up, you do a high throw. If you hold left or right, you'll do a far throw. And I don't think the diagonals do something, but if they do, it's entirely beyond my knowledge. As you can see, the bombs do bounce around a little bit. That's what actually causes some of his missions to be pretty hard. But at the end of the day, he's actually not a bad character to play as. I actually kind of like him. Fireman is my favorite character to play as in the game, barring Mega Man C and a certain other. Or more accurately, he's my favorite out of the Robot Masters. We saw a bit of him last part. He fires his fire wave forward, he has the fire shield. However, during a lot of his challenges, you actually can't use it. We need to use his other gimmicks. First off, if he stands on top of snow blocks, normally they melt. If he touches water, the fire goes out. And now the ice blocks don't melt. However, by touching a fire hazard, you get lit back up. Notable, during stages where you touch water normally, you can still attack with him while his fire's put out, but you don't get the fire wave attack. You only get the shield around you. Elecman's probably the most like his standard self from my knowledge. The only difference is his Elect Beam is just a yellow version of Mega Man's versus the one he uses in the fight, which is larger. His main gimmick actually revolves around the block type he has to deal with, where you zap these blocks and they move towards the direction that the little nodule's in which case you can just jump on it and then use it to go around platforming. Some of those missions are surprisingly hard with him, by the way, just because of the amount of blocks you have to keep track of at times, and I don't think they can crush you, though. Time Man's probably one of the more interesting ones with his moveset, because they changed him up a bit from his main self. He still has the time slow ability as well as the little arrows he shoots out. However, he shoots out 2 at a time in diagonal directions. I think he can spam fire it up to 3 times. And by charging his attack up, that's how you slow down time. A lot of his challenges actually revolve around slowing down time to get around certain projectiles quickly enough, catch up with certain enemies. A lot of ones where you just have to collect certain score balls within a certain time frame, because when you slow down time, that timer also slows down. And before we head over to Oil Man, I'm just going to give you a walkthrough of what each one is. In terms of the titles. For the most part, the goals are generally one of a few types. Get the retry flag, you get a certain amount of score balls, defeat certain enemy name here, certain amounts of them. There's a couple that are survived for like 1 minute. Then there's a couple that are destroy X amount of party balls, the things from Mega Man 8. And those revolve around learning how to use the weapon in certain ways. I will say doing all 100 challenges is a challenge, as the name would suggest. Although, on the whole, the hardest is probably the boss attack just due to how long it takes. The last 2, which are all boss attack and hard all boss attack for new style, probably take upwards of 10+ minutes each, barring the times when the timer freezes. Oil Man, by the way, is almost all entirely reach the flag in a certain amount of time because of how the oil slider works. I showed it off briefly, as well as the weapon demonstration, but this is the best opportunity to show it off. Oil Man's thing is he uses the oil slider. You fire it forward, and you step on it, and it becomes a snowboard. You can reach some pretty good speeds with this. However, hitting enemies with it is a pain in the ass because you're more likely to take damage in the process. However, thankfully, you can at least do some amount of platforming with it beyond just going forwards, because there is a bit of a break button where if you press up and the jump button at the same time, you jump off the board. And you unlock something for getting all 100 challenges, but we'll look at that in a moment. For right now, we got Mega Man S for easy mode completion, C for normal mode, but what do we get for hard mode? Well...
Please, my robots. Your friends. You must stop them.
Let's go!
For beating the game on hard mode, we get access to straight up rock. He doesn't have a buster, he only fights with this little kick, which I think is more powerful than a standard Mega Buster shot. I think it does 2 damage versus Mega Buster's 1. Or something along those lines. It's pretty powerful, all things considered, but the short range makes this one of the hardest modes in the game. In fact, I can say for a fact, probably the hardest modes in the game are hard mode Oil Man and hard mode Mega. I hate calling this guy Mega, because when he's out of armor, he's always just been rock to me, but still, that's notable. However, I should note when it comes to getting the various Mega Man, all 4 of them, because they are technically 4 separate characters, I believe you need to have a fresh file in order to unlock them. Like, you'll only unlock Mega Man C for beating the game the first time on normal mode, so on and so forth. And I did do a hard mode run off screen to get this guy, just because I figured why the hell not. Mega Man S is probably the easiest to get, and in fact I will say easy mode is your best friend when it comes to getting all the characters, because due to the simplified Robot Master patterns, as well as the lower damage you take, taking out all of the Robot Masters with just the Mega Buster is the easiest to do on easy mode. So if you're playing the game yourself, I actually recommend doing it like that. Playing the game on hard mode isn't too much different from normal mode, honestly, besides some damage stuff, but it is worth keeping an eye on all the same. But now it's time to get into some sort of DLC, sort of not. We're going to be showing off 2 more things. The next is purely DLC, which you got through going through the online mode in the construction menu. Let's check this character out.
Just as I promised, Dr. Light, I'll be taking them with me.
Stop, Dr. Wily. Stop, I say.
Farewell!
Wait! Stop, Dr. Wily. What insanity! Using my robots to conquer the world!
Professor, I'm here for you. I'll put a stop to Dr. Wily's plans.
Roll? Are you sure you're up to it, Roll?
Here I come.
That's right, released on March 14th, 2006, Roll is finally a playable character. She is more or less the same as Rock, only she has a long range and she has a 1-2 combo with her broom. What makes her special though is that similarly to Mega Man, when you select her on the character select screen, she actually has various costumes that were released over the course of a year. On March 16th, 2006, Mega Man 8's costume was released. On April 6th, 2006, a Sports Roll costume was released. On May 4th, Night Roll, which is basically Ghosts and Goblins, Arthur. On June 1st, the Rainy Day Roll. July 6th, the Straw Roll. August 3rd, the Vacation Roll. August 31st, the Summer Roll. October 5th, Halloween Roll. November 2nd, Alley Cat Roll. December 30th, Roll Claws. January 4th, Ninja Roll. And February 1st, about a year after the game's release, Valentine Roll. Pausing really quick in post, because I forgot to mention that the costumes are purely cosmetic. There's no other actual difference between them. Playing the game as Roll is easier than playing it as Rock, I think, just given her extra range. And she does get some added bonuses. For instance, during the boss rush stage, when we fight the certain boss from Wily 3, there is quite the notable change, but I'll go over that when the time comes. But on the whole, she's a pretty fun character, if a bit limited, because she doesn't get special weapons or anything. The only characters who get special weapons are the 3 standard Mega Man, standard C and S. But still, fun to play as all the same. Plus, it's just nice to see her kicking some ass finally. Either way, now it's time for the final playable character. We've seen more or less all of them. I didn't show off Mega Man S for reasons. But if you do all 100 challenges or download the final data at around the same place where you can download the Roll data online, we get the final character.
Just as I promised, Dr. Light, I'll be taking them with me.
Stop, Dr. Wily. Stop, I say.
Farewell!
Wait! Stop, Dr. Wily. What insanity! Using my robots to conquer the world! I'll help you this time. But remember this, Light. I haven't forgiven you. Proto Man? What a surprise! With this shield, you can deflect frontal attacks.
That's right! The final character you can unlock, and easily the hardest character to unlock without doing the final data thing, is Proto Man, who is the easiest mode in the game. He jumps twice as high as every other character, has his Proto Shield whenever he's standing still so he can deflect projectiles, though it does get knocked off you if you get damaged. And every single shot he does is the equivalent of a Mega Man C charge shot. He is easy mode. So needless to say, playing him on easy mode is fun. The closest thing I can kind of compare him to is actually easy mode from Mega Man Legends, which you unlocked by doing the hard mode. So by doing the hardest thing in the game, you get the easiest thing in the game, and there's just a certain element of fun to him. I should note, though, he's played by, his voice actor is Jonathan Love, who was, I think, Leorio in the old Hunter x Hunter dub. He was the injured Hunter in Maverick Hunter X Deus Sigma. I think he was Gogeta. He was Again, another Mobile Fighter G Gundam actor, Michelob Chariot. I think he was also just some other scattered roles, like Full Frontal in Dynasty Warriors Gundam 3, Paptimus. He was Launch Octopus in Maverick Hunter X, Bamboo Pandemonium in Burn Rooster in X8, Spider in Command Mission. A very familiar voice to me. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 5, we're not going to the Wily Castle yet. There's still one more thing to do, and that's show off old style. See you guys then.